afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd. And you are not, but that's all right. Maybe you are a nerd. Most of you aren't, though. That's why you're here, to learn stuff about Worldox. This is the July 2016 Worldox Virtual User Group Meeting from Attorney Computer Systems, what we like to call the Paul's Wife's Birthday Edition. So everyone here except for me is eating chocolate, and I'm not very happy about that, but I'm going to try to gather up my wits and still help you understand how to get documents into Worldox, because that's what I am talking about today, how to get documents into Worldox. A couple months ago, we titled the topic, How to Get Documents In and Out, but then I spent the whole time talking about how to get them out. And so today we're going to talk about coming the other way. Mary Jo is going to show you, all you PracticeMaster users, about the Worldox toolbar that you can, or the PracticeMaster toolbar that you can have in Worldox, allowing you to do all sorts of really cool things. But before that, a little bit of housekeeping. This right here is the GoToWebinar control panel. If you are still seeing this on your screen, it's because you haven't pressed this button here that looks like a little arrow pointing to the right, because had you pressed that arrow pointing to the right button, this whole thing would have flown off the right side of your screen. The only thing left at that point would be these buttons here, and this one would now look like an arrow pointing to the left, because clicking it again would cause the GoToWebinar control panel to come back onto your screen. Why would you want it to come back onto your screen after Paul told you to get rid of it? Because you have a question. If you have a question, you may type it here. As long as you remember to hit send, then Leanne, our humble moderator, between bites of chocolate, will interrupt Mary Jo or myself at just the right time and ask your question for you. Now, I have been known to get off track. Maybe you've heard it before. My mother could start a story. She could 17 minutes later have told you 17 other stories but never have finished the story that she started. I'm like that. Maybe I'll misunderstand what your question is. Maybe Mary Jo starts to explain something and that opens up a whole host of other questions that you have based on what she started to explain. Whatever it is, if you have follow-up questions, just keep typing them here. Keep us on track. Make sure we're answering the right question. Ask your follow-up questions. Just remember to hit send. Leanne will keep us on track and make sure you get your question fully answered. Alternatively, you can press this button here that looks like a hand with an arrow pointing upwards in front of it. That means raise your hand. Doing so will cause Leanne to do the same thing, interrupt her chocolate eating spree, interrupt Mary Jo or myself at just the right time, but then instead of reading your question, she will unmute your microphone and let you ask your own question. That unmuted microphone will remain unmuted until we're done. So if we get off track, if we don't answer the right question, if you have follow-up questions, just talk to us, because that two-way line of communication will remain open until we're done answering your question. And so there, we have it. Let me just press a couple more magic buttons and voila, we are going to be in Worldox. And Mary Jo, you've got our mythical Purdue Law office is right there on the screen.
Awesome. You've got me all ready to go here. So I'm going to actually start first, though, in PracticeMaster. So I'm going to flip over there, and I'm going to go over to my toolbar section. So if we look at our integration toolbar plugins, we need to actually install the Worldox toolbar first. So it's over on those toolbars. If you didn't know, I went up into maintenance integration. If you're on your task folders and you go to integration and the little plug over here, this is your toolbar plugins. On each workstation, because this is workstation specific, user specific, as you're logging in, we need to go ahead and click on the Worldox button and install the plugin. Takes like 2 seconds. It'll pop up a box that says that it was installed, and you're good to go. That will then put that Worldox toolbar and make it available over in Worldox. So click on the Install Worldox toolbar and plugin, and you're good to go. We've already done that, so I'm going to flip back over here to Worldox, and then you will see that there's a PracticeMaster. It's not a button, but there's a little option here to choose PracticeMaster right up here on the toolbar. When I do that, I can do 3 or 4 different things now. So I can create a calendar record based on a document that I'm on. I can create a fee record and bill for a document that I've saved into Worldox. I can create a journal record and make some notes about a document and keep that in PracticeMaster. Or I can just open Matter Manager directly for whatever matter I am on out here in Worldox. So we're going to do these one at a time and kind of look at this. So just like in any of the other programs that we have a PracticeMaster Toolbar, and you click on Calendar, Fee, or Journal, it's going to go right into that record and partially fill in the information for you. So I have just a document I have highlighted. I want to create a calendar record on that document. So I'm going to open that up. It's going to open PracticeMaster. It's already knowing that that was Purdue Law because that was the client and the matter that I was on in Worldox. I can put the date in here. So we'll just put today, and all my normal things that I would put in here I can add and save it, and I've saved a calendar record out here in PracticeMaster, which then syncs with Outlook for me. So I did that directly from Worldox. I'm going to get out of that, and we'll go back to, let me cancel out of that record, and I'm going to go back into Worldox, and let's do a fee. So let's say I want to bill for the time it took me to prepare this. Now this is just an email, but I could bill for the email. I could do that in Outlook, or I could have a document like a complaint or a pleading that I had been working on that I want to bill for that time, and I've already saved it in Worldox. I'm just going to come right over here because I'm already in Worldox, create a fee record. Again, it's going to open up a fee record now with Purdue Law already in there, Purdue Law offices, and I can go ahead and start that fee record however I want that to be. So we got that one. Cancel that. And then lastly, for the creating records part of this, I can create a journal record. And again, opening PracticeMaster asks me what type of a record do I want to create for that. I could say it's an email. I could say it's most likely going to be a note. But I have choices here. I can say OK, and now I've got a place to type all my notes concerning that document that then will be available in PracticeMaster. So that is huge. Those 3 things are now available over in Worldox, and I can get right to PracticeMaster record creation right from there. The last thing, which I think is really cool, is that I can just go right and open Matter Manager. Boy, that's like a mouthful. Open Matter Manager from Worldox. And this is going to, again, take me right into the client matter that I am on in Worldox. So if I just need to jump back over to PracticeMaster from Worldox, I can do that and get right into Matter. Man, I can't say that today, Paul. Matter Manager. There we go. Just like when we are in PracticeMaster, I want to display Worldox documents and go that way, I now can come back and I can go to the client and see that actual information from Worldox. So it's kind of like a backwards way that you can do it. So those 4 things now available with that toolbar. Again, each user, you need to install it individually. It's a user-by-user function, so just like any of the other toolbars, if they want it, they can just ask, and you can go and install that on their machines, and they will love it. So, Paul?
Awesome. Now, as I said when I introed this topic, 2 months ago we advertised that we were going to talk about how to get documents in and out of Worldox. And we spent a great deal of time showing all the different ways to get documents out of Worldox to work on them outside the Worldox file structure. And we neglected to talk about how to get them in. So we're going to do that today. There are 2 main ways to get documents into Worldox. I'm going to go ahead and minimize Worldox. And when I do, I'm going to pull this up and show you. Didn't mean to double click that, sorry. I'm going to minimize Worldox again, and I'm going to click down here, right click, and I'm going to disable the work zone. This may be how some of your machines are. You may not have this little box up here that we call the drop zone or the work zone. So you may already be in that state, and to get the work zone back, all you need to do is enable it, and it should appear right up here. Now, the work zone is something that's kind of movable. It's not a fixed thing. You can decide where you want to put it. I didn't mean to do that either. Hold on. You can decide where you want to put it. So I'm going to double click it and drag it around. I can move it wherever I want. I can put it on the top. I can put it on the left. I can put it on the right. I cannot put it down here. I can actually put it anywhere, but I can't put it down on my taskbar. Okay, a lot of people sometimes say, ooh, I want to put it on my taskbar. Sorry, can't. Now, if it's not at the very top or the sides, it will sometimes disappear. But we tend to find that if you have it right at the top in the center or over on the side or over on one of the sides of the screen, it will pretty much stay persistent on top, always there for you. Now, if you double click it like I just did by mistake, you're actually loading Worldox, okay? But if we simply, there it is. If we simply drag something to it, we will be dropping something into Worldox, hence the name, the drop zone, the drop folder. The drop work zone, drop folder, these are all things that people tend to call it. They call it, I believe, the work zone here. I've heard a lot of people call it the drop zone. I don't know if that's what they used to call it in Worldox. But if I have this document that came in from wherever and ended up on my desktop and I want it in Worldox, all I have to do is drag it up there, let go, and there's Worldox. Okay? If I have a document in a folder and I want it in Worldox, all I have to do is double click it and drag it up, and there's Worldox. Now, as you'll notice, I'm not saving these, so I haven't actually put them into Worldox until I fill out my profile and click OK. Now, here's a trick. Have you ever gone to Journal and Email or Profile and Email, and it tells you you can't do this because it's already in there, and you still want it in there? Maybe you want it in a different matter. If you drag an email up here and let go of it, that check will not be performed. I'm having trouble grabbing the email. There we go. So if you have an email that's already been put into Worldox and now you want to put it into Worldox under a different matter, for instance, or put it in a different place, a copy of it if you will, you can do that by dragging it up to the drop zone, because when you use the Worldox copy or move to Worldox buttons, that's going to do that check. But when you grab the email and simply drag it up there and let go and profile it that way, it is not going to do that check. So that's kind of a side venture on our little journey of how to get things into Worldox today. It's a little extra tip.
Just one thing to note when you're doing that, it's a copy and it's not a move. So you're not moving the documents out of Outlook and you're not moving the documents out of their original location.
That's a very good point.
You're copying them. So it's retaining that copy over there.
All of the things that I'm showing you here are copies, okay? Now, the other way to get things into Worldox is new. I want to, Mary Jo, is it new in GX4 or is it GX3? I think it was in GX3, okay. This is called Save to Worldox. So let's say you have a group of documents. I'm going to mark these documents. I'm going to right-click, and on my right-click menu, I have Save to Worldox. And when I pop that up, again, it lets me put them wherever I want. I can specify that I want a certain cabinet, or if I'm going to client files, a certain matter, a certain client, certain doc type, whatever I want. Now keep in mind that if you select a certain doc type, that's going to apply to all the documents that you're saving into Worldox this way, okay? So that's all well and good, but if you have 18 documents and 8 of them are pleadings and 10 of them are correspondence, then you want to save the 10 that are correspondence in one Save to Worldox and the 8 that are pleadings in another, because that way you'll be able to say for the 8 that the pleadings is the doc type and for the 10 that the correspondence is the doc type. Now, a couple things to be aware of. There is a hypothetical limit to how many documents you can do. I think out of the box, there's Mary Jo again. This is what we used to use as a picture for Mary Jo for our virtual user group meeting announcements. It's kind of like a walk down memory lane. If you highlight more than the number of documents that you can save to Worldox at a time, it's not going to let you. And I think out of the box, that's a hypothetical 15. So if we save, oh, there's Leanne. If we save 15 or less than 15, we get the Save to Worldox item. If we do more than 15, we don't get the Save to Worldox item, okay? So that's something to consider. However, Mary Jo, or perhaps your Worldox administrator, or anybody from Worldox can help you with this as well, can go into the INI files, into the configuration, and up that limit, okay? But the limit has a lot to do with your machine's capabilities, and what your firm wants as a limit on what can be pulled in, okay? Now,
that limit is also on the work zone. So if out of the box it's very small, if you need to up how many documents you have to drag at one time to the work zone, that can be up as well.
Exactly. Now if we tried to drag 15 documents to the work zone and we were only permitted to do 10, it would give us a message saying you are limited to so many documents. Whereas if we try to mark more documents than we can save to Worldox, we simply do or do not get that Save to Worldox item. Now the last thing that's kind of cool about this, okay, is you can take an entire folder structure with many, many levels and get it all into Worldox. Now, I got to point out, you're in one sense, you're losing those levels because as we know, folders are not part of Worldox, okay? So if you have a 12 folder deep folder structure and each of these subfolders may have other folders with other subfolders, you can get them all in there in one fell swoop. I'm going to take this very simple one, literature. It's got 2 documents in it and then a subfolder called platinum with a document in it and then a subfolder called white paper with a document in it. And as long as the thing that you are right-clicking on when you say Save to Worldox is a folder, it's going to pull everything in. And I'm going to take it and put it in, I don't think that took. I'm going to do it again. Save to Worldox. There. Yeah. Okay. What am I doing wrong here, Mary Jo? Anything? Well, it could be something with the iPad. I'm controlling a Windows desktop with an iPad. I'm going to close this. You know, this is one of those things that we actually tested before, and it worked then. It's one of those rare moments where we tested it before and it worked, and now it's not working.
See, we have those same things that everybody else has. You know, it works when you do it one way, and it doesn't work another time.
Okay, well, this is an interesting. There it is. It's there.
There you go. It's just taking its time.
No, I think it was hiding.
Was it behind there?
Yeah, I
there
think we may actually. I think we may be looking at a minor bug in whatever version of GX4 we're running. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it in the user folder under pPurdue, and I'm going to give it a doc type of temp just so I can get it out of there easy. And it's going to walk the tree and take every one of those documents. Now, I hope that was the right one that came up. And so I'm going to go back into Worldox. I'm going to do a find user Purdue, and I'm going to refresh. Okay, I'm going to try this again because I think that. Here it is. I'm going to put it in Purdue. Folder temp. Click OK. And there they go. Bam, we didn't get that before. Now, when you do this, you do have an opportunity to create a Worldox link-based file, basically a shortcut file, a project file, in the same directory that lists all the documents. So I'm going to do that real quick. And then we're going to go and we're going to look at this. We're going to look at it from a couple different perspectives. First off, okay, so maybe I need to just do a different search. Maybe my search is, well, I want to go only to the temp folders. There we go. Okay. Now, we have the folder that was created, the file that was created. Well, I don't see that file. Okay. These are the 4 files that were brought in. The different folders copied from Docs Literature, Docs Literature Platinum, Docs Literature White Paper, and then Docs Literature. Now, if I take and add the field to my column layout called Comments, I can actually then sort by comment and actually see this in kind of a hierarchical folder-based sort of orientation. Here's everything from my literature folder, here's everything from Literature Platinum, here's everything from Literature Platinum White Paper. So one of the advantages of copying documents into Worldox this way, using this folder copy method where you right-click on the folder and save it to Worldox, is that it takes the location that it copied it from and puts it in the comments field, and you can actually put the comments field up on your column layout, sort by it, and see exactly how those 182,000 files, if that's how many you copied in, laid out in that folder structure. And that's very cool. It kind of gives people a way to bring in documents that had a folder structure before, then they're now going to be classified differently in Worldox without losing that existing folder structure. Of course, if you had the comments field up here, you probably would turn off the comments in the list so that you could just see a more concise list. So those are the 2 ways to do that. One is to drag something up to this work zone that doesn't show up when Worldox is what's active. Right there. Just drag something up to the work zone and let go and let Worldox profile it. Or to go into some sort of a Windows File Explorer or Windows Explorer view and either take an entire directory like we did here, or take single or multiple documents, of course keeping in mind that there are limits to the number of documents that can be pulled in this way. And if you don't know what those limits are, you're going to potentially run into trouble, especially if you're copying in folder at a time.
One other place to pull and drag to the work zone that's really helpful is out of emails. So attachments, if you just want to grab the attachments out of an email, you want to show them that, Paul?
Yes, I do. So here's something from Patty with an attachment, and I can just take this attachment and drag it up there, or I can open up the email and take the attachment and drag it up there and put it right into Worldox, okay? Just like I can also take an email right out of my Outlook if I double-click it right and drag it in and profile it that way. Okay. Now, next month, we are going to talk about fonts, colors, and sizes. GX4 gives us a lot more flexibility on how we set the various fonts that appear here in our views, our different views, and throughout the Worldox list files screen. And Mary Jo is going to talk about how to alter those fonts, colors, and sizes so that things might show up bigger, or they might show up in different ways to represent different things. I am going to show you how to take that a step further and how to customize your button bar. So you can tell Worldox exactly which buttons you do want and exactly which buttons you don't want, and even what icon to use and what words to put there. So if you'd rather this say, instead of direct access, you want it to say matter access or something like that, whatever, we can change the words, we can change the icons, and Mary Jo is going to show you how to change the colors and fonts and sizes. Now, I would, of course, be remiss if I let you go without showing you that if you go to Attorney Computer Systems with an emphasis on the last S in the word systems, attorneycomputersystems.com, you will find, among other things, our video link. And if you hover over the word video, you will see all titles. Or if you simply click on the word video, you'll be taken to a separate page that lists all those titles with a very brief description and takes you straight to the more info where those videos live. So you'll see our 4 live events that occur on a monthly basis, our Tabs 3, PracticeMaster, and Worldox virtual user group meetings. You'll see our Coffee Pot webinars, and you'll see our pre-recorded series, Mary Jo's eBytes video series, very short, concise tips and pointers on how to do very specific things. And our Paul and Mary Jo show, where me or Mary Jo take a topic that's a broader in nature, and we go in more in depth, spending 10, 15, 20 minutes exploring all the intricacies of that particular problem or solution or feature or whatever. If you go to one of our live events, for instance, or one of our pre-recorded, you'll always have, as you scroll down, all of the video content. But at the top of the live events, you'll see registration information and description and registration links for the next upcoming event. So here is our August 29th Worldox Virtual User Group meeting with the topics I described just now and links to register for that. As we scroll down, since the live event, the next video that we see is the one we're watching right now, so it's not really done yet. It's currently in post-production. But as we get past that one, we get to actual recorded videos of every Worldox, every Tabs 3, every PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting, our Coffee Pot webinars, our eBytes, and our Paul and Mary Jo shows. They're all here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, ready for you to explore and learn and take advantage of, because that's why we made them, for you. So everybody have a good rest of the day, good rest of the month, and we will see you next month at our August 2016 Worldox Virtual User Group meeting. Thanks much. Bye-bye.